Hi everyone, Bandanner here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the RTS Cast and Stuff channel and to the open beta for Broken Arrow. Today we're looking at the helicopter tab. Remember to hit subscribe on the channel, by the way, if you haven't already. We're heading reasonably rapidly towards that 1000. The first big milestone for any channel. So, today we're going to be taking a look at the helicopters, as I say, starting with the Ka-52. Thank you again to people who've come and talked to me about the weapons and missiles and things, because as I say, I go and read this stuff on the official Discord, and there's various discussions, and some people say one thing and some people say another, and it's very hard when I can't test properly in-game at the moment how everything functions. Because I need to be able to do a 1v1 or set something up in an editor so I can test specific units out multiple times to see how they hit and things like that. So it's really difficult to do it in this beta. So I do appreciate any comments and discussion around that. So, the Ka-52, very standard helicopter, I think, that you'll have seen in a lot of movies and things. Twin blades, I think it's pretty unique in that way, you know, it's the Ka-52, right? You'll have all seen this at some point, I'm sure. So, it comes with a 30mm autocannon as standard. Obviously, pretty standard damage output here. So you've got the AP rounds, which are kinetic energy penetrators, 50 to 100mm kinetic damage against vehicles, and then you also get the HE or the heat variant, which hits infantry, vehicles, and helicopters. And again, it's just the standard ones, blast radius of only 4, so nothing too exciting. As standard, or by default, you get some rockets on the inner pylons. You cannot remove these. You have to have something on the inner pylons. So the S8 rockets, the 18mm ones are the standard. Reasonable blast radius, they're pretty effective against infantry. Not going to be massively effective against most vehicles, maybe some light vehicles. And does cause a little bit of suppressive power against bigger vehicles as well. But I won't go into too much detail on that. But yeah, 40mm of heat penetration on that one. So what else can we equip? Well, you've got 3 pylons, the outer pylons, which can equip only the Igla anti-air. So the Igla 5 anti-air, or the Igla V, I assume it's supposed to be a 5. This is 2000 meter range, 70mm heat penetration, can target helicopters and aircraft. Obviously, generally speaking, you're going to be using it against helicopters more than you are aircraft, I suppose. Middle pylons, back to those 40 S8 rockets, as you've seen before, so it just gives us another 40 rockets, 20 on each side. We could change that to 10 S13 rockets. So the S13 rockets are 130mm. Obviously, they're pretty massive, 5 on each side. Much bigger blast radius, and obviously bigger or better penetration. So, and again, better suppressive power as well. So just an upgrade, but less of them. Then you've got the Attacker ATGMs, and this is where we get into the realms of some people have perhaps mentioned that these are top-down attack, and some have said they're not, and, you know, I really wish I could sit and test this properly, but I can't, so we will say for now we aren't 100% sure. It depends on who you speak to. So, 1800 meter range, and 800mm of heat penetration on these things. They're pretty good missiles. They fire one at a time. Obviously, you get 12 of them in total. They're pretty good. I quite like these. But there is another option which is also good, which is the Vikia ATGM missiles. So the Vikia missiles, 12 of these as well, 1800 meter range, 950mm of heat penetration. These things, again, are direct attack missiles. They're not specifically here, obviously top-down attack. My experience with these, having used them in DCS on my SU-25, is that they are direct fire. They don't do top attack. They just hit whatever they're aimed at from whatever angle they're aimed at. So I assume that's kind of what they've gone for here. Could they be top-down attack? Debatable, possibly. They don't usually have that kind of firing pattern though, so if you look at them in real life, and you can find videos of this, they just fire towards a target, but they spiral. They have this weird thing where they spiral, so they're harder to shoot down almost, but they spiral around. It's like they go in almost like they're going in like a corkscrew. It's quite interesting to watch, actually. Rather than just firing straight, it sort of does that? But apparently these are ripple, so they fire 2 at a time. So that's probably the big difference there, is it should fire off 2 missiles instead of 1. Certainly that's the case on the Su-25. I'm assuming the same for the Ka-52. Obviously, lots of options here. For me, I mean, either of these are fine. Obviously, the Vikia is just better because it is technically better penetration. You know, the other one is 800, this is 950. But then the questions about top-down attack, trajectory, and stuff like that come into play. And until I can properly test it, it's really hard to say. And obviously, other people have tested it, and I get conflicting reports. So, someone's right. So, on that inner pylon, we don't get a huge amount of choice. We either get the S8 rockets, we're going to have a couple of gun pods on there, which again claims it can fire at aircraft. I'd love to see them do it. I know someone said in the comments on the previous video for the Americans, or not the Americans, on the gun pods for the infantry transport, was it? That they reckon they could do it. I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced. And then the S13 rockets as well. So nothing too exciting on the middle there. Really, it's the outer pylons with those anti-air missiles and the Vikias and Attacker here. The big things for the Ka-52. Next up is the Mi-26. This is just a huge transport chopper. 20,000 heavy supply or 85 people. That's a lot of people that fit in this thing, isn't it? I mean, it's huge. Absolutely huge. So, pretty expensive as well, though, so bear that in mind. Next up is the... There was no upgrades for that, by the way. Just before I click on the next thing, I'm just continuing on regardless. Okay, so next up is the Mi-28N. So again, another attack chopper, this time with a 30mm cannon once more. Same ammo, nothing special here that we've seen on the previous one, the Ka-52. Also as standard with some S8 rockets. This one, however, gets an optics package, so we can upgrade that to have the radar package, which gives it 2,400 instead of the base 2,000. Outer pylons, we can have rockets, the S8, the S13. We can upgrade that to the Attacker ATGMs, so same as we had on the Ka-52, except 16 instead of 12, so plenty of missiles there. You can change that to have 8 Attacker on one side and 4 Iglas on the other side, so that's the Igla S, 2,000 meter range. Basically, again, just an anti-air missile, mainly for anti-helicopter. Or you can just have 8 of those anti-air missiles and really make this an anti-chopper platform. And then, finally, on the inner pylons, you are, again, limited to rockets. So it's either the S8s or the S13s, which are the bigger variant. So nothing too different there. We don't need to go into any more detail. Then we have the Mi-28NM. So this thing, as default, has a radar dome on the top. So it has, by default, the 2,400 for its recon range. And as standard, unlike the other one, it comes equipped with some weaponry. So first is the S13 missiles, or rockets in the middle there. So the inner pylons, and then the outer pylons, it has something different. The Lima. I'm going to call it the Lima. It's the LUMR. So this can hit infantry and vehicles, 100mm of heat penetration, is technically laser guided. The thing about this one, from what I can say from today having a discussion with one person, is that technically it is a top-down trajectory and tracks its target itself. I assume that's how it's modeled in the game as well, from what they were saying. Obviously, I expect someone else would tell me completely different, but suffice to say, it's a hard-hitting missile with a pretty big blast radius and a lot of suppressive power. So you don't really want to be on the receiving end of it. And technically, you know, as long as it's hitting the top armor of a target, and though it doesn't say it does, then it would do quite a bit of damage to vehicles and tanks. Other options there You can have it empty. Weirdly, the most expensive one is picked to start with. But you can have the S8 rockets, the S13, the Igla anti-air once more that we saw on the previous one. The Vikias on this one, we didn't get that option on the Mi-28N, so that's a bit of an upgrade there. You can have the Vikias on this one. You can have 6 Vikias and 4 Iglas, if you so wished. Or you can have those Limas, or the LUMR-HE missiles, if you want. On the inner pylons, it's the S8 rockets, the S13 rockets, or you can have another 4 of the LMUR-HE missiles. Making it really expensive, though. They're 100 a pop. That adds 200 in total to that chopper, making it really expensive. Then we have the Mi-35M. This is a transport chopper with some capability in terms of weaponry. So, 8 seats. Can't carry any supplies, though. It can have a protection system upgrade to have some ECM. 10% up at the top there. Starboard pylon. You can have S8 rockets. It's this one over here. S13 rockets. You can have some attackers on there. Or you can have 8 attackers on there. It's a big difference, isn't it? Kind of a cheaper upgrade, though. It's only 30 more to get twice the amount of missiles. And there's no difference between those. They are the same missiles. We've seen them before. That's why I'm not showing them off too much. On the port side, again, same setup. Except, no, it's not the same setup. You get Iglas at the top. Or the Igla... Yeah, okay. So it's the same missile. You just get 4 too. So that side you get anti-tank, and this side you can get anti-air. I don't know why it's set up like that. I really don't. Sorry, I just noticed there's a little flashing red light on the side that entertained me. And then the inner pylons, S8 rockets, S13 rockets. Or you're back to those gun pods again. I will note that this thing comes with a GSH-23L, which is a 23mm gun. You can see on the front here. I think it's like twin-barreled. Yes, it is twin-barreled. And that, again, can hit infantry, vehicles, helicopters, or apparently aircraft. I mean, if the aircraft was low enough, like coming in, doing it, like trying to dogfight it, I could see that working with the cannon that can move slightly. Because that one's, you know, on a bit of a gimbal, isn't it? Can move slightly. But yes. Nothing too special about it. Heat damage. It's again that heat damage, or the heat penetration that varies. Which we've seen on a few things that I don't fully grasp what they're getting at. But there you go. And finally, the Mi-8 MTV-5 cargo. So just a big cargo chopper, really. It comes with space for 4,000 supplies or 21 seats. And you can stick some rockets on it, the gun pods, double the amount of rockets, or you can have some rockets and the gun pods. I usually just bring this in with nothing on because I want it cheap and just to transport stuff if I bring it in. But nothing wrong with sticking some rockets on it. And there we go, that's everything in the helicopter tab. A reasonably short video again because, realistically, there's not a lot in here and a lot of the weapon systems are just reused. Obviously, the unique ones are the Mi-28NM that gets the LMUR missile. And obviously, the Vikia is quite a fancy one if it's ripple fire as well. But a couple of nice choices here if you're wanting to use helicopters. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.